Welcome back, guys. We are back at the FitBiz Journey podcast. And I'm so excited today because I have Dr. Ryan Lowery, and I hope I didn't butcher your name as much.
It's great.
Today, but he's amazing, and I really look up to him and what they have accomplished in the past 5 years, right?
Yeah. Three.
3? Oh, sorry, 3. Yeah, it's even worse. So lots of you say that I do lots of things, but they have done even more than I done. So to give you a little information about Ryan, that was so crazy is that he's the CEO of Ketogenic.com. Yeah. And on top of that, he's also the president and one of the founders of the Applied Science and Performance Institute here in Tampa Bay, which trains crazy name athletes, right? Which we'll talk about in a minute. And you were also featured, actually together we were featured in Generation Iron 2, and training amazing athletes. And then you also wrote a Bible, the Ketogenic Bible, which is a best-selling book, by the way. If you have not, everybody in the fitness industry should read it because it's one of those books that's just full of science and explanation. And it's one of those books that that came out and instantly got like, I don't know how many reviews you got, but I think when I checked it was like 50 on like the first day or something. And I was like, holy shit. Anyways, that book is amazing. I have it. We went to one of your book signing events too. I appreciate it for signing it. And lastly, he's an amazing speaker. So without further ado, Ryan, can you please just introduce yourself a little bit and just tell me about that, what led you to where you are today?
Yeah, well, thanks a lot. It's an honor to be on the podcast. And, you know, our journey is very unique in a sense that similar to you, I grew up playing sports. And that was always my passion is I wanted to figure out how to take my passion for sports and make it something that I can do for the rest of my life. And I definitely wasn't good enough to play professional sports, so I played in college. I ended up going to the University of Tampa, played baseball there. We ended up winning a national championship. But while I was there, I met my now business partner, Dr. Jacob Wilson, and he kind of introduced me to this concept of research, really studying the boundaries of human performance, whether it's nutrition, exercise, or supplementation. And I kind of just fell in love with that concept of, like, you know, the ESPN sports science type of stuff. Like, I fell in love with that. And so I wanted to make that, like, my career. And I didn't know you can make a career out of that. I was like, wait, you can, like, study this stuff for real? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. So we started doing research. And then after I was done playing baseball, we've always had this vision for how do we really we love educating. We love educating. And when you're in a college setting or an academic setting, it's very narrow, right? You're talking to students who may not want to be there. You're talking to people that are like, I don't know if I am even interested in this topic. I just have to take it to graduate. Well, we wanted to take the information research that we were doing on a global level. So we're like, you know, in order to do that, we're going to have to step outside of academics. And that's really when we started thinking about creating ASPE, the Applied Science and Performance Institute. And when we did that, that's kind of when this whole nother world opened up. And we were never really entrepreneurs up until that point, and we said, you know, we got to step out of this and figure out a way of how to build something where we can educate on a large level. And my main focus and my main specialty was ketogenic dieting, and so that's kind of where ketogenic.com stemmed from, which is an online educational platform solely dedicated to providing people with tools and resources that are interested in living a ketogenic lifestyle. And so since then, it's just been an ongoing journey, like you said, working with some of the top athletes in the world. We just got back, we were working with Tony Robbins.
Awesome.
And we were on a call with him yesterday, kind of going over his results. We monitor him on stage. But working with guys at that caliber to people with cancer or Parkinson's or traumatic brain injury, like kind of everyone in between, and it's been a whirlwind, man. It's been really fun.
Well, that's amazing, and I'm non-stop following you because it's on both of you, like especially when you go on travels and you guys do a really good job on Snapchat and Instagram and everything, you know, behind the scenes. I really like it, and it's actually very important, you know, to all the listeners to keep that going, because that's how I know all the things that you just mentioned. I already knew all those things, but not because, you know, I'm following you on social media, and it was so easy for me to right away stay up to date.
Thanks, man. I think that's important. I think it's whoever it is, if you're listening to this, document it. I see you all the time too. That's why I knew about the new location and all these things that are going on, and I'm like, it's cool because you're not creating things, you're documenting your life, and I think that's super important. People are interested in it, and it's a way to kind of keep in touch and figure out, wow, that's amazing. They have new things going on.
Yeah, and this is how you did it. So now they try to do the same, not the same thing, but they have an actual path that they could try to follow.
Exactly.
On the same, and just educating them. And just like you said, it's actually a very good point about the documenting, because all you do is you don't actually think about how I create more content. You basically documenting, and then that's your content.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
it's simple.
Exactly.
So I wanted to bring up a couple of things. Because it seems like that since you have launched your book, the Ketogenic Bible, you guys just all of a sudden became like the #1 on the map for ketogenic diets and everything. Like right a sudden, you just showed up and all right, they are it. So
Yeah.
can you tell me like why did you write the book? How long did it take you, and a little bit about it?
Yeah, so we got approached by a publisher, and they wanted us to write kind of this authoritative source, because they knew keto was getting traction. A lot of celebrities were starting to do it. And so they're like, well, we need a book that encompasses it all, because there's recipe books, there's books on cancer, there's books on this. We needed something to cover it all. And Jacob and I were like, man, that's going to be a lot. And it ended up taking us about a year to write. And it's a large book.
It's a big book.
Yeah, but it was worth it. And for us, it was more of a passion project. I wanted it to be something that I can look back in 5-10 years and be proud of, and eventually my kids look back and be like, wow, you wrote this book that was like the all-encompassing concept. So yeah, it was long hours, it was a long time, a lot of researching to write that, but it was something we're passionate about. And when you do that, it doesn't matter if it's podcasting, writing a book, starting a business. When you're doing something you're passionate about, it pulls you rather than you have to push it.
Exactly. How did you find time to do all that? With research, with business, with book, with all that?
You know, it's about making time, and that's one of the things I'm a big proponent of. Is this: we actually have a rule here in Aspie. If something gets asked or someone says something, they say I don't have time, I immediately get in the car, I take them, and they have to buy me lunch, because I don't believe in the I don't have time thing. It just means that it's not your priority, which is fine. It's just you need to figure out how to prioritize things. People go, oh, I don't have time to do that. Well, those are the same people that are at home at 7 o'clock at night, then they're watching Netflix, they're watching another show after that. It's like, well, there's valuable time that you could be working on something if you're really passionate about it. Or early in the morning, they're like, you know what, instead of getting 7 hours sleep, I want to get 9 hours. Well, maybe a couple days a week, I think sleep's important, but sometimes you have to sacrifice sleep and make the time to do those things that you're passionate about. So that's kind of our approach to it.
Agreed, 100%. And I calculated so many time I'm crazy about. So I audit my time all the time. Yeah. And when I did one of my speaking engagements, I actually talked about it, and I pointed out on the screen that how much time you can save with little things. And just saving 1 hour, I was just mentioning lunch, for example, for that example. If you every single day, 5 days a week, just save that 1 hour, that ends up being it was like a whole 40-hour work week for in a year. If you go for a 1 hour lunch every single day. So if you watch Netflix, for 1 hour the whole year, then you are right there. You have an additional week to work on something. You know?
I love it. I love that concept, auditing your time, right? Whatever it is, anyone throughout the day. I tell this all the time, and forget about social media. Like, I think social media is important in some regard, but people get hung up on it. Next thing you know, you're in this trail of Facebook videos or Instagram videos, and you're like, wow, I just lost 30-45 minutes. Like, that's time that can valuably be spent writing a book or starting a podcast or doing something valuable.
Yeah. And then the same for like social media too. I do that all the time. The swiping, I'm like, oh crap, and you just get on it. So it's very important to do that. But there are apps, by the way, that can block you on social media, and I forgot what it's called. But you can set different timers throughout the day. It's kind of funny, right? Yeah. Anyways, so once the book came out in a timeline, so were you able to walk me through? Because I don't think you did lots of speaking engagements prior to the book, did you?
We spoke sporadically, so it wasn't as much. But yeah, like you're saying, after the book launched, we kind of had a lot more speaking opportunities, a lot more speaking things come up, and now we speak. I'm flying out to California tomorrow, actually, to give a talk this weekend in Napa Valley. So
awesome.
It's
what is it about? Sorry,
it's about keto. It's about keto.
Of course, sorry.
So a lot of our talks are about a lot of the research that we're doing. So we've done stuff with like performance and athletes with keto, but also now a lot of our research we're doing with like longevity, anti-aging, some of that stuff, even animal studies on that. So people are interested in those results, and we just kind of try and want to get that education information out to more and more people.
Yeah, I'm actually very interested about that, since you mentioned animals and cancer and everything with keto, because I read lots of awesome research about it. So I mean, I'm very happy that you guys doing all this, because I know who to come to if something crazy happens to me.
Right, right.
And but hope not. But
Right.
but either way, you guys definitely the leader of the industry. I really think so, and see it anywhere I look online. You come up, and if I mean, there are two different options, I guess, because there are some people who are huge about it, like socially, with their recipes, with their fame that they have on social media.
Right.
But then when people actually want to look into and see what they have leveraged as far as research and what the facts, then when you're all about the facts, then there's nobody else, I don't think.
I appreciate that, man. I think it's an amazing conversation, and I tell people all the time, there's so many incredible resources, and that's why I love what you do, in the sense that it's about building a community.
Yeah.
And I think that's super important for people to get. And fortunately for the keto crowd, there's a huge keto community, and it's supportive. And I think that's one of the things that people look to always compete in life, and it's like there's so many different opportunities to support and lift one another up, that's kind of how the whole keto community really is.
Yeah, that's community. Community. It's my English, sorry, but community is a huge deal, and it makes a huge difference. Yeah. So let's walk through some of the people, because so many people want to become a speaker, become an entrepreneur, and all these things in the fitness industry. And I see it so often that they don't really walk the talk, and both of you, the example of this whole thing as the opposite of that. You guys are doing everything and practicing and doing every single day, and that's why you're so good at it and talk about it, and everybody knows about you because you're just doing it every single day.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the people who just want to become a speaker, but they don't have like a track, like they don't haven't actually done what they're talking about, and there's so many of them.
Yeah, there's so many of them. Here's the thing I would say is self-awareness is one of the most important things in the world. So not everyone's going to go out and be a speaker. Not everyone can go out and stand in front of people and say, hey, I'm going to educate you, or have the tact to do it. Not everyone can have the wherewithal to start a company and be a business owner. Like everyone goes, oh, I'm worried about it. Like I don't know. There's a lot that goes into it. Like you have to have a unique person that can go out and say, I'm willing to go through the trials and tribulations of what it's going to take to make this successful. But you do have those people who are worried and do have that potential, and I think you're a perfect person that you see potential in certain people with what you do. And there are people that you see and you go, you know what, if they're just guided and directed in the right route, they have the passion, the excitement, the drive to say, you know what, I'm going to do whatever the heck it takes to make sure that there's no stopping me. Like there's gonna be stuff we have it happen still today at Aspie, or with Ketogenic.com. Things come up, and most people, it could crumble them. Like it would just bury them, and they'd be like, you know what, I'm done. I'm just gonna go on and go do something that's more safe. Whereas you need to have tough skin and thick skin, and say, you know what, there's going to be times where things come up. Things are going to get tight. Something's going to come up, and I got to make a decision. But that's the fun of being an entrepreneur. It's the fun mindset of saying, you know what, I'm going to go through some of these trials and tribulations, and I know at the end of the day, I'm going to do everything in my power to come out on top.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with what you just said, because the only person who doesn't make mistakes are the people who's sitting home watching TV.
That's it. That's a safe bet, right?
Exactly.
That's a safe. And you know, the sad part about it is, same thing with self-awareness, like understanding that there are some people, like Jordan needed a Pippen, right? Like you have people that need to be a number 2. You have people that they're best being a number 3 or being the 6th man coming off the bench. There are people that really need to understand that, but at the same token, there are those people. I have people in my family, friends that are just like, you know what, I went to school, this is all I can do, and they get stuck in this trap. And that's one of the biggest things that is really important for people to understand is we have a long life, right? You can, and I talked about this with Sean Wells recently, and he said one of the most amazing and profound things that someone did for him, it was his doctor. He drew out a timeline of them for him. And he drew out a timeline, and he was about college age, and he said, you know what, you could go, but you could grind for these next 2 to 3, 4, 5 years and be happy for the rest of your life, or you can continue living the status quo, doing what you're doing every single day, and be miserable for the rest of your life. And awesome. Like that changed his entire perspective of life, and he went back, got a degree, changed his entire thing, and now he's living his best life and loving it.
I'm so happy that all this, what you just said, is golden. We're gonna like reuse it everywhere.
Yeah.
That was a really awesome speech that you went off of, and you could like drop the microphone if you had one. But yeah, 100%. Most people 100% underestimate what they can do in the long run and overestimate what they can do in a year.
That's true.
And that's why they just give up. Like, you know, even in fitness, New Year's comes, right? January, and everybody like, all right, I'm going to get fit in a month. Nothing happened, and they quit.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And that's why I love, there's people all over, like on social media. There's like Gary Vee, he talks a lot about this, but like people, you got to be willing to like grind. If you're in your 20s, even if you're in your 30s or 40s, you got to be willing to grind for years. But what happens is a lot of times people see, they look at, due to social media, they look and they say, oh, that person's in a great position. Look at all the amazing things they do. You didn't see the 10 years that they grinded to get there. Like, that takes a long time. They sacrificed a lot, vacations, family, this, to get to that point. You just can't look at it and go, wow, that must be nice. Let me go try and do that. And then be like, wow, 6 months later, you're like, why didn't that work out? It's like, well, you didn't see the whole path that it took to get there. It's difficult, but it's possible.
Yeah, and it's only, I mean, all they see is the finished product of the entrepreneur, I usually say.
Right.
Yeah, they don't see the craziness and the crazy hours and everything. It's just, yeah, exactly. That's good, really good point you bring it up. And the same with personal trainers, gym owners, and everybody who's listening and wants to, you know, build a business. Right. It's just the truth that you do need to grind, and it's not just fairy tales. And then what you just said, that you have to have a thick screen, is 100% right. And that's why what Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, all these crazy, everybody who is was and still up at the top, say that it's not for everyone. And when they say the passion too, right? They always bring it up that it's really hard. So if you don't know what to do, or you not know why you're doing it and all that, then you're just gonna quit.
I love that, and I'm glad you brought up your why. Like, understand what your why is. Yes. Because at the end of the day, whatever you're pursuing, whether you're a gym owner, personal trainer, whatever, you need to understand that if you're doing something you're passionate about, it should pull you. You shouldn't have to feel like you're pushing like every single day. It's not something where you get up in the morning and you're like, oh, I have to go do that again. It should be like, I'm jumping out of bed on a Monday being like, I can't wait to get to the office to circle up with the team because I'm so fired up and excited about it. And you need to have, like, to your point, that thick skin, because if you're really that passionate about it, if you're a personal trainer or a gym owner or whoever, and you really want to build a business and do something bigger, you need to have thick skin in a sense that there's going to be people out there that are going to hate on you. There's going to be people that are going to go out and be like, that's impossible. I'm sure people look at you all the time and are like, that's silly. Why would you ever do that? There's no way you can do that. There's no benefit to it. Yep. But you got to look at them and say, you know what? Screw that. I'm gonna put that aside. I'm so focused on the positive of what the potential is. You got to be willing to handle that. And a lot of people can't. Yeah. And they can't handle that. And that's what brings them down. But it takes a different perspective and mindset to be able to power through that.
Wow, that was another good content that we need to reuse.
Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, guys, I hope you're listening, and make sure to listen to this, because this is so far amazing content. Take everything away, write it down, take action on it. Before actually we close up, I don't know how much time we have, but I just want to bring up some of the habits maybe that you do daily. Do you have any daily habits in eating, working out, actual work itself?
Yeah, so one of the big things I'm a big proponent of starting out, anyone I think can do this, is I start my day with gratitude. I think that's one of the most important things. So I wake up and I have a journal. It's a 5-minute journal. It takes literally 5 minutes, and you fill it out. Because when you start your mind in that mindset, you automatically win the day, right? You've accomplished something. You get up, cool, I started with gratitude. These are things I'm grateful for. Because what happens is a lot of times people forget the perspective of like, hey, you're fortunate enough to be able to, you woke up this morning and someone else didn't.
Yes.
Like, people forget about that, and then they're miserable on their way to their commute to work. Someone cut them off. They let that disrupt their day, and it just leads to a spiral. They come home, they're miserable with their wife or their spouse and kids, and it leads into this spiral of a negative life. Yeah. But like, if you look at it from gratitude of like, I have clean water. Some people don't. Like, you completely change it. The guy cut you off. You know what? Maybe he was in a rush for something. Maybe he had something going on. My perspective's completely changed. I'm not going to let it affect me. You know what? I'm glad I just didn't get into an accident, sort of thing. So
that's amazing.
I think I love to start with that. I typically do some type of intermittent fasting as far as eating. So I usually don't eat breakfast during the week. I'm just on the go, meetings. Like, I haven't eaten yet today. And just like some water and stuff like that. When you're on the go and you're grinding, it's kind of like it takes time to do that, and it's like, well, I don't need that right now. I'm intermittent fasting and being on a ketogenic diet, and then I tend to exercise at least 5 to 6 days per week, and then focus on sleep. I think that's important. Even though it's so easy as an entrepreneur or someone to sacrifice, it's one of the easiest things to be like, you know what, I'm a bad proponent of this. It's one area that I always tell people I'm working on because it's something I need to get better on. But I talk about sleep. Yeah. I need to get way better on sleep in the sense that, like, sometimes I'll grind and I'll go, okay, I'm going to sacrifice sleep. I'm going to get 3 hours tonight. But that's because my goal and my mission is so important. Yeah. But having good quality sleep, like making sure, I'm not saying 10 hours, but getting 6 to 8 hours, making sure you're getting good quality sleep, so that way you can be that much more productive the next day.
That's very important. And what is right now, like, anything that is stopping you? Like, what's your biggest, any obstacles that you need to overcome, and how do you find a way to overcome it?
You know, I always like any obstacle I face, it's all about, it takes time, but to change perspective, right? Because one of the things is after I got my doctorate and after we started going into keto is a very controversial topic. So I'm at the face of it a lot of times. People are like, oh, that's ridiculous. You shouldn't be eating that much fat, blah, 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 blah. And I get that all the time. But the challenge is this, like completely shifting your perspective on dealing with some of those haters or dealing with people who are in the social media realm trying to tear you down. Like that constant nagging is something that is always something you're battling, right? Because you can let that eat you alive, or you can let it kind of fuel you and allow you to overcome it and say, you know what, I'm so focused on all these people whose lives are being changed because of the work that we're doing, that if someone has a problem or if someone's upset with it, that doesn't even bother me anymore because I'm so focused on all the people who are positive and their lives are being drastically changed.
And what's funny is that there will be always those people. Even if you watch Gary Vaynerchuk, you see how many haters he has to begin with.
Huge.
And it's always the same people. It's so funny. But you can expect, anytime you upload a video, you can expect having the thumb down signs or whatever on YouTube and everything from about the same amount of numbers, because of those are the haters that literally still watching, but they're just the haters, and that's why they're watching. So haters are still good. Yeah,
exactly. they're secret fans.
Yeah. And so I want to talk about a couple of things. So because you're working with some high-name people, you just mentioned Tony Robbins as well. So, and people who probably were listening, like, how the hell did you do that? Yeah. So, what would you say what contributed to that success that you're able to work with? And you guys work with sometimes with the Yankees, right? Turning in the Lightning, Tampa Bay Lightning,
and the Bucks.
The Bucks, yeah. So, what contributed to that? Because that's what probably people are like dying to hear.
Yeah, it's all about networking. Yep. It really is. So, there's a saying that says your network determines your net worth. That's true. Like it's always about providing value for other people. Like getting in with Tony Robbins is, someone would look at that and be like, oh, you're working with Tony Robbins? Cool, I want to do that too. And you're like, well, that took 15 years of our lives to get there. And you don't see that, and you don't realize, oh, you're working with the Tampa Bay Lightning? Well, that's an ongoing relationship that's been building for the last 9 years. So and how do you do that? You find someone that's in that position. You find someone who's in a position where you want to get to and work towards. And you go and you do whatever you can for that person. You don't ask for a dime. You don't ask for anything. And you say, I'm here to solely help provide value for you. Whether it's the Lightning, whether it's whomever, someone that you want to work with that's a client, you go, I want to provide value for you. Why don't you come in and I want to help you? And over time, you help build you as much value as you can for that person. And it starts to build a relationship, something that's non-transactional, but is instead relationship-based. And I think that's what we've done fairly well is over time, build relationship. And when that happens, now that network grows and you're only 1 degree of separation from anyone in the world. Because now when you have a relationship with Tony Robbins, cool, he knows this person. He might make an introduction one day for this person who could completely change your life and completely change it because you put in the work and provided value for him early on with no expectation or nothing expected in return.
That's, if you guys don't take an oath and take action on this, you never get to the same level, I guarantee you, because that's 100%. That's amazing that you share that information. That's, again, a golden nugget in this podcast. We're going to share that multiple times too. Because I'm so proud of you guys. You guys are so amazing, and all these people, that's just crazy. It blows me away that we are here in Tampa Bay, and people flying out to meet with you. I did see Tony Robbins was even here, right?
Yeah,
he came out here. So the point is that those type of high caliber people would come out and sit down and meet in this room with you guys. You know, that just shows you right there credibility is right there. I mean, anybody would come in here. I wouldn't have to be like, you know, like spend any time on, you know, sign them on or whatever or anything, because you're like, they want you to be signed on. You know, they want to meet you and all that kind of stuff. It's so cool.
Thank you.
How much do you think social media help you in that?
I think social media can be an immensely valuable tool. Mm-hmm. Like it's huge, and I think a lot of it is providing content. Like it's not easy, like you see. Like it's not easy. A lot of stuff we put out, whether it's Jacob, whether what we're doing on ketogenic.com, we try and put out as much value as possible. And people are like, well, why don't you charge for that? I'm giving value. That's the key. Is like I'm trying to help people, because at the end of the day, when it is time, Gary's a huge proponent of this. When he puts out his sneakers, it's sold out in 30 minutes because the guys provide so much value and help so many people that they now feel obligated to not only buy one pair of shoes, they're buying 30 pairs to give to everyone that they know, even though they're $250 a pair of shoes. And so that's the key, is provide value and do that over and over again. And I think social media can be an a really good tool to be able to allow your voice to get out there, to help people, provide tools, whether it's videos, infographics, content. Just get in front of the camera, talk, provide value to someone, and if someone can take away a little nugget from that, over and over and over again, that's going to pay off long term. Yes,
100% long term. And you never know, even if you have 10 listeners, because so many people get dismotivated, you know, that who is watching, who is listening. And here's the thing, you don't know, it might be Oprah would be watching you right now
100%.
Out of that 10, and then all of a sudden there's the golden nugget, just like you shared information, they're going to call you up, hey, can you come on the show?
Exactly.
Which happened before.
And that's key. I've seen that with you, that happened, right?
Yeah, it happened with us too. It wasn't Oprah, but we had the doctors, for example, and the TV show. And I mean, even with you guys, I mean, you called us, called me when you were filming for Generation Iron 2. That was from networking, one, and second from social media, you know, so... So basically, that's what it is. That's what all it takes.
I love that, and you hit the nail on the head. Don't worry if you have 2 likes on your social media post. Don't worry if you have 2 views on your YouTube video. If you look, everyone, I know we're talking a lot about him, but Gary Vee, he has hundreds of millions of views now on his things. But if you go back to his original YouTube, he had 5 people watching him review wine on a camera, and it takes over time. You never know who that one person could be watching it, and it happens with us all the time. Someone's like, hey, I heard you on this podcast, or hey, I saw your page, and that person now opens up 18 different doors that were never possible if you never took that first step.
Yeah, that's 100% right. Yeah, so that, I mean, so much information. I know you're busy, everyone is busy, so we're gonna wrap this up, but I mean, we probably need to do another episode eventually because there's so much information. But you know, where can people find you? Please share social media, website. Go ahead and
So it's theaspi.com for this. Ketogenic.com is where anyone that's interested in keto, we do a lot of recipes, content on there. And then on social, my Instagram's @Ryan P. Lowery. Okay. And then @Ketogenic.com is where we do a lot. And the Aspie's on there, Dr. Jacob Wilson's, the Muscle PhD, he's on there as well. So we're very active on social media.
And is there any way that we or the listeners, anybody can help you right now that you need help with, that maybe somebody who's listening or me can help you with?
I think the best way that we can help each other is this. I'm a big proponent. One of my big mantras is make positivity louder. I'm a huge proponent of that. Be one of those people. Be one of those people who's out there making positivity louder, not getting caught up in the negativity, and support each other. That's one of the things that makes me fulfilled, is when I see you doing great, when I see other people coming in, the people listening to this podcast getting value out of it. Reach back out. Reach out to you. Reach out to me. Say, you know what? I really appreciate that tidbit. That means the world to us, because it makes it worthwhile of everything that we do. If it helps one person, that's always my thing. If it can help one person, it makes it all worth it.
Yep. And on that note, I really appreciate you all for listening and watching. And thank you very much. And please, just like what he said, if you see value in this, please leave a review. Please reach out to him, to me, and just let us know how we can help even further more. And I just really, really appreciate that you guys are listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate
it. Brother.
That was awesome.